If you haven't heard of Project Offset, then you have no idea just how pretty a first-person shooter can be, and honestly, you owe it to yourself to find out. With all the big game companies making a lot of noise these days, it's easy to overlook grassroots game movements. It would also be a very, very stupid thing to do. Offset Software co-founder Sam McGrath is one of the developers behind Project Offset. It's a shooter that's got everybody buzzing. And Sam, welcome to the show.
Hello.
You brought your baby with you today, but
I did.
Before we get there, tell me about the team behind Project Offset.
Well, basically, we started this project about a year and a half ago. Me being the only programmer on the team, and two other guys from the last project that I worked on. We're doing basically art and
3 dudes.
all the content. Three dudes.
Yeah. I mean, normally you get 3 guys together in a computer room, and there's cans of Jolt Cola and some Farmer Erotica.
Well, there's that.
Like no one actually produces.
Well, there's that too. But
Oh, of course, of course. And maybe that's a testament to the fact that you guys actually churn something out.
Yeah.
So
well,
you guys are not only making a game, but you're making the engine, of course, right?
Right. We're developing this completely from scratch, and the purpose of this whole thing is to create an epic fantasy first-person shooter, which is something that we haven't seen too much before in games. And
you can't really count Heretic. I mean, it's not.
Well, yeah,
it did have the chicken mode, but
yeah,
that's about it.
So it's something that we're really interested in playing ourselves. We want this epic fantasy first-person shooter set in this sort of amazingly beautiful environment. And beauty is not something that's generally associated with first-person shooters.
No, sure, definitely not. I mean, you guys released a tech demo. We showed it off on our show. We had no idea who you were or where you were coming from exactly. We were just like, wow, like you got everybody's attention. So we were hoping you could show a little bit more of it here today.
Definitely. So
what do we have running here?
We have the engine running here, and this is just my basic crappy programmer art that I made, showing off a little particle system.
I was going to say, this doesn't scream fantasy art,
not yet,
fantasy FPS to me yet. But so what? I mean, this is actually to any programmer at home right now. They're probably wetting themselves because this is impressive. What are we seeing?
Well, basically, this is a simple particle system with particles performing collision against the ground, and every particle, as you can see, casts a shadow onto the scene. And not only that, the particles actually self-shadow, so I can actually toggle that on and off. You can see what it looks like without shadows on there.
This is what it looks like in your mom and dad's first-person shooter engine. This is what it looks like in Project Offset.
In fact, I'll turn off motion blur too. So that's basically what a current-gen particle system would look like.
Right.
You add the shadows, add the motion blur, and it gives us much more cinematic quality to it.
Like Elmo going through a meat grinder or something of that nature, but looks fantastic. But now that's, okay, those are particles. People want to see pretty fancy in-game models or something of that nature, so you brought a couple with you.
I did. So here's our dwarf character, and
look at that.
This character is basically going to be our builder class in the game.
Now this, is this really an in-game model, or is this just, hey, look at how pretty we can make it because there's no AI running and there's not enemies on screen?
No,
be honest with me here.
This is really an in-game model, and for the target that we're aiming for here, in terms of when we want to release this and what we feel the average hardware is going to be at that point, we feel this is a good target to reach for.
I mean, it looks incredible. What is actually going on with this control? Because we see this model, again, this is all happening real time. You're manipulating the camera. This is not a video.
Yeah, I'm moving the camera around in real time here.
And it's running off of our Ultimate Game Machine, which says to me it's running off current, like hardware that you can get off the shelf right now.
Right.
What is going on with this character?
Well, here I just paused him in mid-frame here, and as you can see, we've got motion blur effects here as he moved his axe. The axe blurred. Based on the vectors of motion.
I mean, that's normally a post-processing thing. Someone would tweak that, right?
Right, and this is traditionally something that we've seen in offline renderers, for movie effects and things like that. But it's not something that anybody's done real time yet.
All right, but let's see the troll. I gotta ask you to bring out the big guns. Where's the troll at? I remember seeing him earlier.
All
yeah,
right.
Look at this guy.
Here's Mr. Trollman. So we can zoom in on his teeth. They're nice and disgusting.
Oh my God! Thanks for popping that off, dude. That's great. Now what is? Now you say. Before we, share me with like a couple more technical little things that you guys got. Whoa, okay, all right, yeah. Tell me, share with me like a couple more technical tricks that are going on. But then I want to get back to like the game and the engine itself. But what else are we seeing here?
Sure. Well, we've got normal mapping on all of our models, and you can see very per pixel specular highlights and everything. We've got HDR lighting, specular bloom, so you can see how we can toggle that on and off too. It's just a nice little softening effect that we get there. And we have a special shader for his skin here, which gives a much much softer and realistic look to the skin.
It doesn't look nearly as plasticky as some of the other models I've seen in other games.
Right,
and also, even the floor. They were showing something on the floor earlier. Like,
yeah, if I just toggle wireframe here, you can see that the floor is just a simple flat quad. But when I look at it with full shading on, you can see that it actually has this full 3D effect.
Sam, I'm going to be honest, that's the best looking grout I've seen in a 3D engine, period. I don't know how you guys do it. But
well, we have specialized grout technology.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Scrubbing bubbles and everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so you've got the engine. There's also a game, though. You guys aren't just all about making a pretty tech demo that you can sell to other companies, right?
Exactly.
Tell me about the game.
The whole purpose of this was to make a really cool game, and this is what we felt that this technology would bring this game to life. And we're creating this first-person shooter set in this epic fantasy universe, and it's going to have a very strong multiplayer component, team versus team, objective-based, different classes you can play. You know, for instance, this dwarf character, this is the engineer class for our game. Oh,
very nice. So a little kind of fantasy TFC, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, right.
Not to label you on another game, because I know it would be very different, but I'm just trying to relate.
Exactly. No, it's very, you know, similar idea.
Now, I know you said it's going for future generation hardware, but I'm sure they want to know, when will we actually be able to play this game, theoretically? If you have your druthers, when will we be able to play this?
Right. Well, you know, right now we're looking for publishers to expand the team and get this thing rolling full force. You know, we're not planning on creating the entire game with just the three of us.
Sure.
Actually, we added a fourth member. I don't know if I mentioned him.
Oh, congrats. And, but when on shelves? Do you think this is 2 years out, 3 years out, a year out?
2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's to be determined, depending on when we get the publisher and when the project gets going. But yeah, it's not going to be coming out this Christmas.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry to disappoint.
That's all right, Sam. Thank you so much for showing it off.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. It looks beautiful. Best of luck to you, man.
For
more information on Project Offset, visit the conveniently titled ProjectOffset.com.